So let's understand this diagram. We have kingdom for each of these three animals, and they all belong to the animal kingdom. If we look at the phylum, they all belong to the chordate phylum. If we look at the class, they all belong to the mammal class. If we look at the order, they all belong to the Dibratodon order. If we look at the family, they all belong to the macropod family. Now, if we look at the genus, though, we can see that they start to differ from each other, because this one's genus is different from the other two. So this one's called Megalia, whereas these are Macropos. And because these two share the same genus and this one is different, that means that these are more similar to each other than the red kangaroo. And if we keep going, the description of species, we can see that they all have different description, because if they're different animals, they should have different species. So Rofa is the species for red kangaroo. Giantus is for eastern grey kangaroo, and Robustus is for common wallaroo. Scientific names include the genus and the species together. So for red kangaroo is Megalia rufa, and for the eastern grey kangaroo is Macropos giantus, whereas the common wallaroo is Macropos robustus. So let's look at these questions and see if we can answer them. Which is the lowest level that all three animals are included in? If we look back, the lowest level that they all similar in is the family level, because after family they start being different from each other. Which two animals are more similar to each other? Well, because in the genus only the red kangaroo changes its genus, that means that the eastern grey kangaroo and the common wallaroo are more similar to each other than the red kangaroo. And that's how we knew from the genus name. This is a different example. Similar idea. Try to think about, have a look at the diagram, understand it, understand what's happening, and then try to see if you can answer those questions. It's a different example, but with plants. See if you can answer those as well. Now, in everyday life, we don't call animals by their species name or scientific names. We use common names. Like this is a picture of a dog. We call it a dog. So common names are the names used every day by people for animals and plants and any living thing. They are different from one country to another. There can be multiple common names for an animal or plant. So, this can be called a dog or a puppy or whatever nickname we give it. and it has a different name in different countries. So in Arabic it's called kalb, in English it's called a dog, in German it's called a hound, Hawaiian is lilio, in Turkish is kobak, in Hindu is kuta, in Icelandic is hondu, in Polish is pies, in Italian is cane maybe. Sorry if I mispronounced some of them. But as scientists, we can't use those common names because they're different in different countries. So instead we use scientific names. So they are used, so there are no confusion between scientists from around the world because it's a consistent method of naming living things. If you remember, we called living things organisms. Scientific names are made of two words. Because it's made of two words, we call it binomial naming. Bi meaning two. Binomial naming. First one is the genus of the organism, followed by the species name, both in Latin. We use Latin as the language for scientific names. So you can see those three wild cats, we call them common names like jaguar, tiger, leopard, and lion, but they have specific scientific names. From the scientific name, we can figure out they all belong to the same genus. They all panthera, but they each have a different species name. So jaguar is onca, tiger is tigris, leopard is pardus, and lion is a leo. Belongs to the leo species. So from what we learned just now, can you have a look at those different names of possums, different species that are all found in eastern Australia? And can you identify the possums that are most similar? Think about what we said. Explain why you made that choice. Propose a reason for them all being commonly known as possums when biologists classify them differently. So why would we call them all possums when biologists classify them differently? Now, we need to understand a key idea here. We're going to go more in details in later times, but I'll just introduce you to the idea of cells. So cells are the basic unit of life, smallest living structure. Imagine a Lego block. Each one block is one cell. Humans are made of many cells, which is equivalent to many blocks stuck together. Whereas bacteria are made of one cell, one block. So this is a human cell, it's just one piece, and as a human we are made of many of these little cells. It's similar to how a logo penguin is made of many logos. Each logo represents a cell. Now, obviously, a logo is not a living thing, whereas a cell is a living thing. And as a human, we are made of many cells. So we need to understand what features separate living things from non-living things. This is really important, and I want you to copy these in your book. So for something to be living, it needs to eat or use energy, and we call those processes metabolism and respiration. It makes more of itself. That means it can reproduce. As humans, we have babies. It grows. We can see growth. As humans, we grow up. We know that because we get taller. We get a new set of teeth. It responds to its environment, sensitivity. When we touch something hot, we can feel it's hot. Therefore, we move our hands away. It is made of cells, structured. As I explained, it's made of small pieces or one piece. It movement, but that's not necessarily sometimes applicable or not something that we can see easily. It adapts to its environment, adaptation. That means if something wrong happens, the living thing can change the way it does something, or the place it does something in, to help it stay alive. It removes waste, excretion. We go to the toilet to release any waste that we have. It can maintain and regulate itself. Homeostasis. Homeostasis is about staying alive. Things like breathing, digesting food, and things like that all belongs to homeostasis, meaning staying alive. So think about from the list which one of these would be classified as a living organism and which one would not. Explain why.